his mouth upturned. His hair stuck out wild beneath the brim of his hat. Billy's laugh was like a force of nature, and always left him looking like a stiff wind had knocked him around. "You knew it, didn't you? Knew it soon as I brought her in here last night." Billy only grinned. "Monday, you son of a bitch." Billy jogged out to retrieve Charles's hat where it had landed in the grass. Before returning it, he flipped it in the air, where it somersaulted 3 times. Charles took it and jammed it back on his head. "Oh, don't look so glum," Billy said. "She's only a touch hot." Charles spat and yanked his shirt. "Touch hot? Like to have killed me." "They must have had her doped to the gills. Wonder what they used. Did a beautiful job of it. Just enough of a dose." "But I don't understand." Charles shook his head. "This wasn't no usual place. It was high class. Fellow's got a pedigree long as the horse does. He drives a damn Pierce Arrow." Up on the road, a passing Model T sounded its horn at the landlord's flock of chickens. The noise set the horse off again. She sprang into the air and cartwheeled to the other end of the pasture. Clods of grass flew up behind her. When she tore past the oak tree, 4 crows startled out of it, cackling. "Son of a bitch," Charles said, watching her. "She's bughouse crazy." He grabbed his forelock and groaned. All that money. Billy put his hand on Charles's shoulder, a strong, big-spanned hand that Charles had felt on his shoulder 1,000 times, with a weight which, after all the years, could speak to him nearly as plain as words. "Think of it as an investment in your education, Charlie boy. Like I always say, you get burned, you got to learn to sit on the blister. If it makes you feel better, you got burned on what's got to be one of the prettiest horses ever drew breath." "Let that damn horse catch herself," Charles said, shrugging off Billy's hand and turning back to the shack. "I need a drink." "Ain't got nothing to drink," Billy called after him. In Tuckertown, where they had spent the end of June and most of July, camped in the back of a cornfield, eating beans and tinned sardines, Billy had tried to teach 2 spotted ponies how to bow. They had been hauling the ponies around in their string for weeks, unable to unload them, and when they saw the poster for a coming circus on the side of the Tuckertown General Store, Billy got the bright idea. Teach the ponies a couple tricks, sell them to the circus for good cash money, make back everything the kid in Salina stole from them, get back on their feet in time for the fall season. It hadn't taken long for Charles to find the girl. Fern, sweet and cool as her name. "I got to be honest with you," he said to her after a week, the fireworks set off by young boys popping in the street behind them. They were standing across from the general store, in a little crowd waiting to see the town parade. "We're just here till the circus comes." "The circus?" He pointed to the poster on the side of the building. Fern strained to see around the woman in front of her, and shook her head. "There ain't no circus coming. That there poster is 2 years old." When Charles reported this back to Billy, Billy only laughed, and in a couple of weeks got the 2 ponies traded off to a hayseed farmer for a crate of peaches and a bicycle, just by the skin of his teeth. When he demonstrated their trick, the farmer watched the animals bend their knees, with his brow furrowed over dull, suspicious eyes. "What on God's green earth do I need with 2 ponies that can bow?" "They ain't bowing," Billy said, as always hiding his Irish brogue behind a dead-on imitation of the man's accent. "No, sir, they ain't bowing. They praying." The next day, Billy rode the bicycle out the Franklin Road and came back on an old pelter with a pint of homemade whiskey he'd taken as boot in the trade. They filed the horse's teeth, blackened his gray hairs, fed him some corn mash, tied him up outside the store, and sat down nearby, minding their own business. Soon enough, a man had come along to look the horse over. Billy got up to meet him. It was the town sheriff. "You in the market for a horse?" "Maybe." "Well, I wasn't planning on selling him," Billy said, "but I like the looks of you." The sheriff hemmed and hawed and muttered over the horse while Billy stood silently, letting the man talk himself into it. Finally,